quick little note, this video is a part 2 of the first ever video that I did. If you wanna watch the first part, go check it out. Link is in the description before watching the second part. Enjoy! 3, 2, 1, start. Okay, I just opened up my Tumblr and here is the theory of couldn't think of a better name has created. This is the second part of it. Link is in the description if you want to read it for yourself. Shout out to couldn't think of a better name for coming up with this theory. But I'm only reading the second part. So if I find the first part, then I will just get to it and think of a theory that could solidify your answer. And maybe we can see it in the future, maybe like a few chapters into the story of the Promised Neverland manga. We don't know. So you said, for a manga that makes a painstaking effort in drawing its cast as diverse and as different to each other as possible, this can't be a coincidence. I have seen multiple speculation of Norman being James's clone, son, etc., but I haven't come across any reasonable explanation why this would have been done. Another big clue we have is that the fact that Peter Rotary, an incredibly busy and important man, collects Norman personally from Gracefield. I think this is a clear message that the Rotary clan has a personal stake in Norman, but why? That is kind of a really interesting thing. Like, why did Peter decided to meet Norman personally before he could actually die? Like, he was getting adopted by Peter from the Rotary clan, and that he was getting more experimented and trying to, like, it's like a boarding school where you're always getting watched and like you have nowhere to escape unless you have the right time and strategy for it. And continuing on, Peter casually dismisses the idea of being called Norman's father, but he asks him to help, quote unquote, help in what he need, in what he, the head of the Rotary clan, considers his parenthesis personal, quote unquote, big letters research. So here is the picture of Rotary, of Mr. Peter Rotary himself meeting Norman personally. Now, why would he actually do that? Well, to be honest, I think that maybe Peter would actually be like his uncle. Like, if there were any speculations of like Norman being the son or clone to William Minerva / James Rotary, then Peter would see Norman as his like nephew / or doppelganger, younger brother or older brother to be precise, because James is the oldest out of Rotary, like Peter, I meant. But still, I don't even know what's gonna happen to Norman after this and what's gonna happen to Peter. And like, I know that William Minerva has already died prior to the series events, and I don't know if we can speculate that maybe, just maybe, Norman could be a clone of William Minerva himself. And continuing on, what could be Peter researching and what is the connection to Norman? We know that Norman is then taken to Lambda, an experimental facility, but from what we can see, they don't do any experiments on him. So yes, I did clarify and seen for myself in the manga that Norman wasn't actually experimented like the other kids, like Adam was in the Goldie Pond part of the story where they were trying to be Lewis, and that Adam was there too. He came from Lambda 7214. Yes, I remember the numbers and the sign. I've been doing a lot of research, and that he escaped from Lambda 7214, and that he recognized Norman and started repeating his identification number on his neck, which was 22194. So, continuing on, all they do is observe and assess him. They keep him in a very normal-looking environment and even keep his schedule of sleep, tests, free time, and food as close to his Gracefield routine as possible. So what I'm getting here is that they're trying to follow the routine that he did at Gracefield, but more like intense, like it could be more testing, more sleeping, more food for him to consume, or just maybe less food that he can consume to become like the most healthiest person and the most smartest person ever, and that he would take more tests than less food, and maybe some more sleep afterwards than having to have more tests, getting perfect full marks. And we just don't know how this routine can handle for our little Norman here. And said, if it frankly just baffles even Norman himself, yet he concludes that he must be a guinea pig, quote unquote guinea pig, in an experiment. So what is the key to the mystery? I talked about before how Norman being the control group in the genetic experiment might explain his treatment at Lambda. But what is this experiment about? Our clues lie in what the scientists are interested in. Now this came from the chapter way back when I was reading it, when I was shocked to see that Norman was actually alive. I didn't know that Norman was alive, but still, they monitor his health, going as far as to comment on it and assess his intelligence. So they're trying to keep him like this healthy boy, but still having the great intelligence of a genius, to see if he can succeed with full marks while also staying healthy at the same time. Like, how is that even possible for just a freaking 12-year-old to be there? Like, oh my Irene, what are you people doing? So continuing on. Okay, so how about we talk about the Rotary clan now? We know that they have been around for the last 1,000 years, and if you ask me, that's pretty exceptional, and there isn't many precedent in real history for such a thing. The longest surviving dynasty in the world is the Imperial House of Japan, having been at reign since 660 BC actually. So Imperial House of Japan. I'm not that good with history. Sorry about that. If the Imperial House of Japan is still reigning, how could the Rotary clan be there and succeed? Well, if I put into my own words, into my own perspective, I believe that the Rotary clan was owning the Imperial House of Japan. Like, this is just within the story. This is within the story. Like, they owned like this big house that is known to be royalty, and that they're respected, and they all knew what the demons are supposed to do, and then they forged the promise. And then, so what if the Rotary clan had a couple of hereditary diseases and or a weak immune system? That's an interesting one that we could hear about. Would you be interested in fixing the weaknesses and maximize your strengths? But there is that slight problem about ethics stopping certain kinds of experiments in the human world's science. There is this thing for that. Would it be convenient to create a facility where you could test whatever you wanted and ignore ethics? If only such a place existed, oh right. Perhaps that's why the Rotary clan backed the Lambda project in the demon world, and the experiment the Rotaries are personally interested in is involving Norman, who looks like their splitting image except has of the chart's intelligence. The chart's intelligence, like, what? So we might be thinking that Norman just could be a normal boy, but still, he could be the freaking, oh my Irene, doppelganger, child version of William Minerva / James Rotary. He's taking the name of William Minerva and James Rotary. Like, okay, I see you. And now we get to see at the end of the chapter that Norman was teaming up with the demons, and that William Minerva did the same thing too. Norman is teaming up with the demons, following the same goal with William Minerva. So what is Norman after? We don't actually know about that. We cannot just see it for ourselves. We're just theorizing about it. But still, with your point in theory, couldn't think of a better name, Tumblr user. You said here in your theories, he says himself that he was only kept there. And now in chapter 124, the people closest to him at Lambda has also carefully talked about how the four of them, Zazie, Barbara, Vincent, and I'm deciphering this name, Sislo has undergone experiments and gained powers from them. They never say that Norman had any of those experiments done to him, and they never say that Norman has any power beyond his intelligence. They keep saying it's their power and Norman's plan on how to use those that got them where they are. Is it reasonable to think that Norman's intelligence might be artificially created? Do you think that our best boy, Norman, is a freaking AI with an artificially intelligence? Like, why would you freaking think that? He's a kid, but what if he's actually an AI? What if he's actually artificially created by the Rotary clan with their genes, mixing with some other genetic things contained in the human, and then boom, you get Norman. So, if my reason for this theory, I don't know where the story is going to lead up to. Unless we get chapter 125 next week, hopefully, or this week rather, hopefully we'll get some answers in chapter 125 for you guys. And the lighting is so freaking bad. I'm sorry. I'm trying to hold this up so you guys can see me, but still, thinking that Norman would actually be born previously or originally from Lambda and just transferred to Gracefield as a little kid, we don't know that for sure, but maybe in my next video, once chapter 125 comes out, we might get some answers from that. But that is all going to be for today's video, guys. Thank you all so much for listening, and that hopefully this video wasn't really that boring. It's just a theory. It's kind of like MatPat, but with a real face, with the real life counterpart, not just like a video, just pictures everywhere. But considering that this theory just really wanted to get my hopes up, I just wanted to talk about it. So thank you all so much for watching this video for you guys. And if you are really new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified of every upload that I do, and be a part of the Ranger Squad. And don't forget to hit that big thumbs up if you want to see more of the Promised Neverland Theories and Appearances Time episode, or any kind of thing that you wanted to talk to me about. Also, leave your comment section down below. Also, leave your comments down below to see what kind of video should I make next, or what kind of anime, movie, manga, or video games that I wanted to discuss in this series of mine. I can't speak today, guys, because I'm just thrown at this freaking theory that I have been just thinking of and trying to speculate on whether or not it's real or not. So I thank you all so much for watching, and as for now, I'm headed out to my mission, signing off. Bye!